record that you will look at and say, wait a minute, this guy's not experienced, but he is. And this is going to be really telling the next couple of rounds who really dictates the pace and continue to be mentally focused.
Philadelphia promoter Russell Peltz, promoter for Jason Sosa, longtime veteran of the sport, clearly one of the ranking boxing historians among all the people you'll find at ringside in present-day era, scoffs at the notion that, as Michael Buffer said, and I have said, that Lomachenko is widely regarded as the greatest amateur in history. Russell points out, hey, Laszlo Papp of Hungary won 3 Olympic gold medals, and that's true. But Papp did not win 396 out of 397 amateur fights, and he's not visible to us now. So maybe there's a natural, immediate presence or a prejudice for Lomachenko.
Bias? No, anyone who loses 1 out of almost 400 amateur fights and wins 2 gold medals is on a short list for greatest amateurs of all time.
Agreed. Absolutely. And Russell just, I wouldn't be fair to Russell if I did not quote what he said.
And unlike Laszlo Papp, who never really gave it a go in the pros.
And being from Philadelphia, I have to at least agree with Russell just to keep the things.
Because he's from Philly.
He's from Philly.
But so, Lomachenko's attempting to also become one of the greatest pros ever, and there have been very few careers that have been this good, this fast.
Lomachenko is smart. The last few fights I watch, he takes his time, but not to the point where he let the other guy get in a rhythm. He's still moving his feet. That's important through this fight. It's going to be the movement of positioning where he fires when he stops.
No, that's a great point. He's not looking for first-round knockouts. He's not really looking for knockouts. He's looking to win the rounds in the best way he can and build a rhythm that continues to grow over the course of the fight, no matter how many rounds it goes. Great up and under left by Lomachenko. Momentarily knocked Sosa back into the ropes.
Oh, Sosa heard that punch, and he also felt it. Lomachenko has really an accuracy and legs and foot combination because he continued foot-hands combination because he continued to throw punches based on the movement and the angles that he wound up being at.
Sosa looks to be in sensational shape, Bernard. Are his muscles too tight?
I think he's a little tight. I think he's also muscle-bound, which can also be a negative as the round goes if it goes deep into rounds because the arms become heavy.
Yeah, if you had picked a winner in Gvozdyk versus Gonzalez before the fight, you would have said, oh, look at Gonzalez's upper body. He's built like a battleship.
Yeah,
and
but
Gvozdyk was leaner.
Yes, but anybody in boxing that knows the sport, you know, muscle-bound don't necessarily mean quick or power. It just means you got a good beach body to get everybody saying, ooh, ah.
Lomachenko putting together some good combinations in round 1, landing that excellent left hand. Round 2 begins. Lomachenko sometimes will focus on working his jab. Sometimes he'll step inside and show you how well he fights at close range. Changes it up from time to time. Jason Sosa wants to get close.
Getting close for Sosa is really a good thing, but he must not stay close and not punch. He has to stay active once he's inside because if he don't, Lomachenko will counter, and he also would spin him and be on the angles and throw many combinations that Sosa would not be able to handle.
Lomachenko is one of those fighters who has so many, oh my God, did you see that moves? Like a rapper with punchlines where you got to keep rewinding because they're coming so fast at you, you don't remember, you can't keep up with them all. And real boxing heads always have a special affinity for that kind of fighter. And already you hear the fight fans. He's the educated fight fans' favorite fighter, and it's happened very quickly.
Lomachenko thought he got hit low, but he really caused that to be on his own fault because he pulled Sosa's head down with his right hand as Sosa was coming in, which made Sosa throw a punch that he couldn't see where it was going.
Regardless, he backed up, he stared at Kenny Chevalier as if to say that was a low blow. Chevalier stepped forward and said something to Sosa. So in effect, Lomachenko ruled it a low blow.
Yeah, well, if he wanted to be the referee and the fighter, then Sosa has an opportunity now to capitalize on a distraction that Lomachenko might be facing. But, you know, right now, the spin move, I just said it earlier, he's going to continue to get on angles. He's just looking for position to let those hands go.
I mean, until the pretty recent past, you didn't see fighters who weren't American fighters fight the way Lomachenko fights.
Good straight left hand.
Not even Pernell Whitaker?
Right. I mentioned Roy Jones. I mentioned Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker. These are who are top athletes who, especially in Whitaker and Mayweather's case, because they weren't big punchers like Roy,
but Mayweather
also had to rely on honing their craft. So they were both extremely athletic and extremely skilled.
But Mayweather and Pernell was sort of like Matrix, like, you know, Roy was just reflexes.
Right.
I mean, not just reflexes. He had power too, but he had reflexes and instincts.
Yep.
Bernard Hopkins got a pretty good close look at Roy Jones twice. Got a better look at him the second time. Body shots landing for Lomachenko. Combination upstairs. Another combination upstairs. Lomachenko, too much hand speed.
Too much hand speed and too much feet position. Look where his feet is being positioned. And that's important because he's firing off those angles, which Sosa wasn't his fault, but it looked like a low blow, but it wasn't.
But when a royalty fighter like Lomachenko stands back and gives an imperious look like that to Kenny Chevalier, the referee, Chevalier felt compelled to say something.
Well, if you see the fist land in the middle of the groin, a lot of times you're going to get that call anyway.
Yeah, but it was because Lomachenko's pulling him in, and that, you know, Sosa didn't see because he couldn't see because he was face down. Really being pulled face down, even though he didn't fall. But he didn't see what he was punching.
Lomachenko's defense, not only upper body defense, but obviously also with his legs, also picking off shots with his arms, positioning his head where he knows his opponent can't reach him, and then he uses defensive position to get offense off in combinations. He's not a devastating puncher, but he's not a light one either.
But he's definitely an accurate and consistent puncher, and that's sometimes in this fight is going to be really a factor because he's not throwing hard punches from one or two. He just threw a combination, two punches, left hand, right hand. And he's moving just enough to get away, but be in range to counter.
Jason Sosa got in a hard right hand to the body. A couple of exchanges ago, one of his better punches in the fight so far. Lomachenko tried to retaliate to the body. Now he's back to moving and giving those footwork equations to Sosa as he goes from one side of the ring to the other.
Harold Letterman, the last time we saw Lomachenko dismantle Nicholas Walters, who's a top fighter, compared him to Willie Pep, except Willie Pep didn't have this offense.
Watch Lomachenko start throwing those uppercuts from the left or the right because Sosa's leaning forward over his lead leg, and the uppercut would be just the right punch to time Sosa leaning in.
Tries the left uppercut right there. Great featherweight. One of the greatest fighters who ever lived, but rarely stopped anyone. Lomachenko's, he makes you pay. The defense gets you out of position. He makes you pay with that offense. And he makes you fight not to get knocked out more than just win the fight. And Sosa's starting to be pressured mentally to not try to get either knocked out or knocked down. And he's trying to avoid that right now.
Lomachenko gave Sosa a lot of credit for taking the fight. Sosa had the option of going to Panama to fight Jezreel Corrales for a WBA title, but he and his promoter, Russell Peltz, didn't like the idea of having to fight on Panamanian turf against a Panamanian fighter, and they chose this instead.
If you look at Lomachenko, he takes those steps to the right and to the left, sort of like Mike Tyson used to do to set up his punches from the right or left.